Mag is still here. He hasn't even left his seat. That's how professional he is. This is not J Wrestling. What am I talking about? This is the Volley. On that note, let's hit the intro. Has it only been a week, Max? Feels like so much has happened in that week.
Yeah, I mean, there's been so much football, but that's the December period. That's what happens. We get that massive backlog of matches. So yeah, essentially we've got double bubble to cover this week.
Indeed. If you are just joining us here, obviously welcome to Volley with Matt and Mags. We are going to be running up 20 games as fast as we can. That's the idea of the Volley, being short, sharp, and fast. Or having known that, you guys in the chat are going to make this amazing as always. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, Radio Tekkers, and of course, to myself and Mag, our Twitter handles are on screen right now, and it'll be at the bottom in case you don't know where you are. So, okay, while everyone's getting settled in the chat, finding their seats and getting their popcorn, how about we start with the first game from last week, Mag? Is that a good idea?
Let's do it. So, essentially, the midweek started pretty early, Tuesday, where we had Newcastle versus Norwich.
This is a game where Eddie Howe started to get his feet on the table a little bit more. But at the same time, Newcastle could... Some people say that Newcastle were unlucky to get all 3 points here. Would you agree?
No, I think a point was fair. Newcastle certainly had the better chances, but Norwich absolutely dominated in possession, dominated in shots, dominated in shots on target. I think coming out of the match, Norwich will feel the more hard done to, especially with Pookie missing a chance right at the end of the game to take all the points. But Newcastle didn't do themselves any favours with Kieran Clark getting sent off pretty early. But Callum Wilson showed his worth this week, and we'll speak more about him later on, popping up and scoring the penalty. But yeah, I think from my point of view, a point seemed a fair result on the balance of play.
Indeed. Obviously, this was actually a 6-pointer, effectively, because two teams at the bottom of the table really doing their best to get out of it as fast as they can. Obviously, two new managers as well, and both staking claims to maybe these managers can turn these teams around. Maybe they can.
I think Newcastle are in a better position to do that, especially now they've got plenty of money, and they certainly had the better weekend out of the two.
I'd say so. I think Newcastle had the better week in general.
Yeah,
we'll get to that second one later on, of course. Much as you may not want to. And obviously, I've got a love loss for Norwich, obviously, but Newcastle, for me, when St. Maximin's at his best and Callum Wilson's actually firing, they've got goals in them. And they're easy to add to that because they're not going to replace the entire squad in January. They've got to get points on the board now. And there's no argument about that, hopefully.
Yeah, they certainly need to shore up that defence because they give away a lot of chances to Norwich, a team that's not scoring well at all. So for them to have so many chances shows that there's certainly defensive issues at Newcastle. So I see them spending quite heavily in January, especially now they're on the edge of getting out of the relegation zone. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the next month or so when it gets to silly season.
The chat is lit up with one of our amazing Tekkers reference. Finally up the toffees.
I mean, the sun shines on a dog's ass every now and again.
We will be getting to that later on, Mr. Cash. Don't worry about that. But absolutely delighted to have you along. We try to go through this obviously quite quickly, so let's move on to the next game, of course, which was Leeds and Palace. 1-0 for Leeds in this game. Man, you don't like Leeds particularly, being a Burnley fan, do you?
Yeah, I mean, Leeds have got that kind of a history of being dirty Leeds. Yes. Lol. So I'll explain it. This sash and the headband and the badge I was wearing was actually to celebrate the first year of chain wrestling, where I got the pleasure of eating a stock cube and drinking some horrific white cider. But yeah, I can't take the sash off because I've got headphones on, and that means I'd have to take the headphones off to wiggle the sash off. So I'm leaving the sash on because I'm a classy broad. That's why.
Called you worse.
But getting back to this game, this is a game I think we would have enjoyed covering on Radio Tekkers as a watch on because it was very end to end. Both teams had some great chances. Melier essentially saving Leeds' skin on more than one occasion. I still will put money on him being a world beater keeper in the near future. But Benteke continuing that kind of great run of form, having some really good opportunities, and it all came down to a very, very late winner and a very, very late penalty. When former Chelsea defender Mark Guehi handled the ball, and he didn't just handle the ball; he essentially slapped the ball. I think
VAR used right.
Yeah, VAR. This was VAR. I mean, it was used quite a lot over the last week, but this was certainly one case where it was absolutely spot on. And Rafinha very calmly slotted the goal on to get Leeds a much needed victory.
Yes, they definitely needed the points given their, dare I say it, what am I looking for here? Precarious position. Precarious is a good word.
Before this game, they were 17th. So they were certainly hovering above that relegation zone. And this is only their fourth win of the season, which if you compare that to the Leeds of last season, that's night and day. So they definitely needed the points.
Yes, and the Messier made our team of the year last season. A lot of our teams of the year last season because of how reliable and dependable he was. And he's so young. Mm-hmm. He reminds me of a young Iker Casillas.
Yeah, I mean the kid still makes mistakes. Don't get me wrong; he's not infallible. But on the balance of play, I think he saves Leeds way more points than those mistakes cost him. I honestly think in the next year or so he'll be in a top 6 club.
Where would he go to, do you reckon?
I mean, if the talk of Rangnick wanting rid of De Gea is true, I don't think he would look out of place at Manchester United. But yeah, I think giving him a club now would be kind of like not the right thing to do because I still think he's got a lot of growing to do and a lot of kind of growing into his game. So I'd certainly give him a couple of years at Leeds. I think he'll learn well under Bielsa there. But anyone who in 2 years or so is looking for a top draw keeper, I think they would be hard pressed to find someone as good as young Meslier.
That's a good shout. Palace, Vieira's doing well with them, to be fair. They won't like the setback they've had here. Mm-hmm. But overall, they've had a good season so far. I mean, only 14 games in.
I mean, they've gone on a bad run of form since. I mean, three losses on the bounce. And it wasn't that long ago that they were pushing top 8. But on the balance of what Vieira's had to do at the club, I think I would be happy at not being in that relegation mire. So they've done really, really well for the position that they're in.
Oh, excuse me. Let's move on though, Max, to the I've caught Chris's call because you couldn't hear my voice, unfortunately. We're moving on to Southampton and Leicester, a game which had everything. This was a really good game.
Yeah, and James Maddison, star of the show again. I think this ended up being the third game in a row that he scored. I thought that he was outstanding. The goal that he scored at the near post was superb. This was a really entertaining game, very kind of back and forward with Southampton taking the lead, then Johnny Evans equalising off the corner, and then Che Adams getting Southampton back in the lead, only for Maddison to pinch a point in the second half. I think a draw is fair. I mean, pretty even down the board in terms of chances and shots. 15 shots apiece, 7 on target for Southampton, 6 on target for Leicester. Possession was pretty level with 45 to 55 to Leicester's favour. So, a point seems fair.
Bearing in mind these two managers both under a little bit of pressure at the moment, let's not mince words here. Brendan Rodgers has, if he said he hadn't had his head turned by Old Trafford, then he's lying.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it's clear that his eyes were somewhere else, and he's kind of took his eye off the ball, I think.
But he did commit himself to Leicester and didn't take the vacant job. Certainly not yet, anyway. And of course, on the other side of things, old Ralph is the second favourite to be sacked next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not looking good. I mean, over the week they did pick up 2 points, which is 2 points more than they had, but they've dropped down the table in picking up those 2 points. So they're getting quickly sucked into that relegation zone,
which is not ideal. I mean, coming into the busy season, and we're going to get games going thick and fast, and you need to be picking up points. You be winning your home games and at least drawing your away games, because on a day, it's this sort of period which decides where the championships go, where the relegation places go, and where you're going to end up in Europe. You could end up in the Champions League, or you could end up in the Europa Conference.
Ooh. I mean, I would give my RT for the Europa Conference, but we might end up in the Championship.
Well, I'm not going to start pointing fingers here or whatever. Are you surprised Volley didn't get one of the goals in this game?
No, I think he's been off form for the last 3 games. I think this was he had the least amount of touches of any Leicester player on the pitch, and I think Leicester have been saved by Maddison's run of form when Vardy has kind of dropped off. For me, I don't understand why they're not playing Daka on a regular basis. I'll keep beating that drum until Brendan Rodgers does something about it, because he's a world beater, and having him sat on the bench when Vardy is so off form, it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't really, does it? Also, at this game, there was unfortunately a medical emergency in the crowd. We saw one obviously early in the season at Newcastle, of course. Second half was suspended for 15 minutes. We didn't start for 15 minutes afterwards because of what happened in the ground, which is also what happened at Watford v Chelsea.
Yeah.
2 in sync medical emergencies. I don't think I've ever seen that.
No, it's mental. I mean, the game was halted for 32 minutes altogether. Yeah. Whilst the fan was stabilised in the crowd. It's a worrying coincidence, and hopefully that's the last we'll see of things like that.
Yes, but they're both stabilised because of the efforts of people like David Janela and other people who have been fighting to get defib units and medical equipment around all the stadiums in the UK. And in a way, it's a good thing they were at the football ground because they were able to get the medical attention straight away. They've been in the street. Who knows? But we wish them all well, obviously. Apart from what I know so much. Max, why don't you delve into this a bit while I go and get a tissue to wipe my nose quite quickly?
Yeah, in terms of this match, this was a match that is sometimes typical of champions elect, I suppose, where they don't have the best of performances, but they do what they need to do to be able to win. Thomas Tuchel has said in the press conference that they were just not ready for this game, and having kind of like that. Having to battle on so many fronts, whether it be in Europe or in the cups or in the league, this was a struggle, and Watford can count themselves unlucky that they didn't actually go on to take more out of this game, because they had half the percent. It was an exact 50-50 split in terms of possession. Watford had almost double the amount of shots that Chelsea did, more on target than Chelsea did. 6 corners. Chelsea didn't have a single corner in the whole game.
That's really rare.
Yeah, exactly. And also they were still playing this kind of like strikerless formation, which...
they like playing half a top, don't they, at the moment?
Yeah, but they did what they needed to do. Open the scoring with Mount. Dennis has kind of bundled over the line goal, pulled it back for Watford just at the end of the first half. But then Mount would turn provider for Ziyech with about 15 minutes to go to secure the points against the run of play. But that's what championship winning teams do.
Indeed. The week ended a little bit weaker than how it started, for sure. Some said that they were lucky to escape with the 3 points at Vicarage Road.
Yeah,
I would agree with that fact. You get a Vicarage Road, you expect to come away with 3 points and usually a barrel full of goals. Ranieri's team seemed to have got a bit of mustard about them or something.
Yeah, I mean, they're not getting the results that they'd like. Certainly not. With only 1 win in the last 5 and then 4 draws. But it's not the cakewalk of a place to visit that it's been before Ranieri became at the helm.
Indeed. I think Thomas Tuchel said that my team was not ready for this game.
Yeah. Because they had...
That's praise, indeed.
Yeah, I mean, he calls a spade a spade. That's one thing I like about Thomas Tuchel. That he doesn't do excuses. He calls it exactly how he sees it, and he knows his team didn't perform, but they still got the 3 points.
Indeed. A team which didn't get all 3 points, a team that dropped points in a big way, West Ham, then Brighton. Now, Brighton, Mopé's overhead kick, it was a very, very, very good goal. Brighton fortunate to get a point, or West Ham fortunate to get away with one themselves?
I think this was, again, kind of like the Newcastle and Norwich game. On the balance of play, it's probably fair. Brighton had the most possession, 66%, and they play some... Watching Brighton play football is glorious. They play beautiful looking football. The issue is they don't seem to be able to create a lot of clear-cut chances, and that showed up in this game. They only had 9 shots with 3 on target, to West Ham, who had 14 shots and 6 on target with only 34% of the ball. So on that balance, a point is probably fair. But when you are kind of at the top of the table, like West Ham are, looking to kind of push on into breaking into that top 3, they'll look at this as points dropped. And Brighton will be, with how late the goal came, they'll be glad that they got anything at all out of this match. So I think a point is fair, but I really do like that kind of partnership that Lamptey and Neil Maupay are creating. They seem to start to be having a sixth sense almost, but that overhead kick finish was glorious by by Neil Maupay.
One could argue that it should never got in because Musaku really should have prevented it from coming in, but he'll redeem himself later in the week. Conor Cave saying hello to Mags and Matt.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Welcome as always, sir. We're always happy to have all of our friends down in the chat. We've got a lot of time for Souček. We'll talk more about him later. But this week he really showed what a human being he is and what an amazing person, for sure. Back along in the goals in this game. Good glancing header from Fornal's corner. Got job done. Never seen a home team like in West Ham's current run of form only have 34% possession. That seems like that's a really odd one.
Yeah, and I think that's more testament to Brighton than anything. Over this year, they've been dominating possession in the majority of the games that they've had outside facing the top six, and it's that glorious kind of one-touch sweeping football that they play. It is really, really enjoyable to watch as a neutral fan. It just doesn't lead to enough goals, unfortunately.
This is the thing, you see. I think Brighton and West Ham will still be comfortably in the top 10 on the current form they're on. I mean, Brighton played some beautiful stuff, and they were only 10 men, to be fair. Lallana was off injured at the time. They could make more subs. So they really did deserve the point out of this game, at least. Big next game, though. Wolves and Burnley. 0-0 doesn't say the full story.
No, this. If you talk about a team that didn't deserve a point, it's certainly Burnley. They were hammered by Wolves. 65% possession to Burnley's 35%. 16 shots to Burnley's 6. But the issue was Wolves only got 2 shots on target. They only tested Nick Pope twice, with Burnley getting one of their shots on target. But this was backs to the wall for Burnley. Adama Traore should have got a winner. He took it a little bit wide, and then with Jimenez basically running down the opposite side of the box, should have made that pass, but he tried to take it on himself and spectacularly missed. So a point here, it doesn't do Wolves justice. Burnley certainly definitely didn't deserve the point, and this is becoming more and more of an issue that we're not able to create more goals. We're not able to kind of convert points into wins. We're not getting enough shots on target. We're not scoring enough goals. I think we're the joint lowest goal scorers in the whole of the league. Thankfully, our defence has kind of been propping us up a little bit, and we've got a pretty solid defence compared to the rest of the bottom half of the table, and even some of the top half of the table. I mean, our defence is better than Man United's, for instance, better than Arsenal's. But it's starting to be a worry now, especially when you consider you need around 40 points to stay up. And the fact that we've got 1 win all season and we've got 7 draws it's very, very concerning.
I still feel you'll stay up, Max.
I'm getting less and less confident of it.
Well, I'm still confident about it. I mean, you've got Maxwell Corner, the greatest player of all time, playing for you now, of course. Your words, not mine. But to be fair, he is a very, very good player.
He is.
Very good player. And I dare say you'll have some funds come your way in January to actually bring in some more quality players.
Hopefully so.
But yeah, this doesn't do anything for Wolves really either, who were on the slide a little bit. But as we'll see, things turn around a bit this week. Well, actually, it didn't turn around. Actually, to be fair, the performance did turn around later in the week. We'll talk about that later on. Well, on to the later fixtures. But before we get to that one, we have a Conor McCabe in the chat saying that the current rumour that Chris Armas, the recently fired manager of Toronto, is on his way to Manchester United, but I see that load of bullocks. On
his way to manage Manchester United? I don't think he would be a big enough name, no disrespect to him, but Man United are in that kind of tier of football clubs that would attract the biggest names in management, and I don't think Chris would have that kind of that clout, I suppose.
Indeed, but good spot, Connor. Good spot. Now, Ray is not causing trouble here, Max. I don't think.
He is. He is a trouble causer.
He says, "Forgive my ignorance. What happens if Burnley gets relegated?" He then follows up by saying, "I never go down a league, but what exactly happens?"
Right. So what would happen is we just wouldn't be playing Premier League football anymore. We'd be playing the teams that are in the Championship. That means less revenue. That means less TV time. That means we essentially would never be able to. I mean, I know we've never covered a Burnley match yet, but we wouldn't be covering a Burnley match on Radio Tekkers. Let's not dwell on it though, because there's still a long way to go.
It won't happen. It won't happen, Max.
Lots of twists and turns, but essentially, if it does happen, Burnley would be replaced by one of the teams that gets promoted.
It won't happen, Max. I have full confidence that you'll stay up. Like what? These Man City will pull it out, Max.
Yeah, I mean they're currently at the top of the table, so it's pretty clear they'll stay up. But what a week Bernardo Silva's had. 2 really well taken goals. Yeah. This was pretty typical of the City that we come to know over the last 18 months, where there aren't particularly any outstanding performances. They do enough to get the win, and that's what you need from a team, I suppose. I mean, in terms of stats, they dominated all the way through the game. 64% of the ball, 17 shots, 7 on target, compared to Villa, who had 36% of the ball with 9 shots and 3 on target. But yeah, this was City doing enough to get the win and never looking kind of uncomfortable. Even after Watkins scored that goal, and what a well-taken goal it was.
It really was.
To beat Ederson on his near post bar and clipping the inside of the post. City didn't look like they were in too much danger in this game, and they did enough to get the victory.
Indeed, Conor McCabe even says that Man City Villa was a fun game to watch yesterday afternoon. It was last week, but I guess it's always a good thing to watch on replay. It was a good match, to be fair, for neutral.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime you get 25 shots in a game, that's going to be a good match.
Indeed. Sterling started to pick up a bit of form. He looked dangerous in this game, which I enjoyed. I know that I'm not his biggest fan, but the fact of the matter is I'm trying to look past the way he left Liverpool now. I'm just trying to look at him as a player rather than what his agent portrayed him as.
Yeah, I mean, I've never got the reasoning why he fell down the pecking order at Man City. I thought that he had some really good seasons there. He was dominant for England, even though I'm not the biggest Raheem Sterling fan. Thought he played well for England. He ended up being the top scorer for us. So I don't get why he fell down the pecking order. But I thought that he was certainly outplayed in this game by Silva, probably outplayed as well by Morris. I thought Morris had a really good game. And even and this grounds, even Gabriel Jesus had a great game as well. He looked very, very dangerous all the way through the match. But yeah, as I said, this was City doing just enough to get the win and not looking like they had to push to beat Villa.
Indeed. Some people are a bit gutted that Steven Gerrard's run of wins came to an end so abruptly. But let's face it, it was going to at some point. And your third game is Man City, who are the champions. That's That's going to be a tough one.
I mean, over the weekend, he's lifted Villa from like 14th to 10th. So he's doing a great job in terms of that. But you come up against City, you come up against Liverpool, you come up against Chelsea, you've got to expect that you're probably going to drop points.
Indeed. Down the chat, by the way, Connor and Ray, great camaraderie down there, by the way. Just asking questions of each other. You talk about yourself, boy. It's fine. We'll carry on talking up here. That was happening, of course. At the same time, however, someone here was doing a solo watch along until for one half until his lordship came to join me. Sorry, Ray, but Everton won, Liverpool 4. Now I talked about this at length because I was there for the first half. Maybe you've gone back and watched the first half, I'm guessing, since then.
Mm-hmm.
So your thoughts, sir?
I mean, how many more times can we wax lyrical about this Liverpool side? It's just
keep going. I love doing it. I want something else for a change, though.
If we get to the 2022 Ballon d'Or and Mo Salah doesn't win it, there's something desperately wrong. He is by far the best player in the world today. He's unplayable. He's absolutely unplayable. And Everton bared that wrath. He just demolished this team, and we got the likes of Jota and Henderson kind of playing bridesmaids to him. But this was the Mo Salah show. He absolutely demolished Everton on their own ground. It was so good to watch. I'm sad that I missed the first half, but I'm lucky that I've got to watch the replay. This was a great game for Liverpool, and it put Benitez's head cleanly on the chopping board. He may have kind of had a reprieve, but we'll get to that later on.
Yeah, indeed. Ray's saying we can skip this one. Surveyor and a half did. And then Ray says, I don't know what was more depressed before or after this match. Sometimes there are some games you have to just say, hold your hands up. Let's have it. The other side was better. I've got to admit, though, most of maybe the best I've ever seen since my foray into the Premier League. To be fair, mate, it's not a bad place to start. I mean, to be fair, Henderson's goal to open it was exquisite. Jota is really maturing into a man who is going to inherit Firmino's space for
He's
sure.
a poacher. He's a brilliant poacher.
Jota the slaughter. That's what. Mm-hmm. And the form he's in, there ain't nothing hotter, apart from Mo Salah.
That was cringe.
Yeah, but it's in the papers, so there are worse ones. What did you thinking about the rotating of Konate and Matip? I mean, it doesn't seem like Jurgen knows which one to have as his first choice centre half. I'll be brutally honest. I know which one I'd rather have, but
yeah, I mean, it's a good problem to have when you consider that last season he didn't have that option of having a plethora of quality centre backs, and hopefully it means that that Burnley may be able to swap in and perhaps snap up one of Liverpool's excess centre backs. I think I've heard that there's the rumours that they're talking about Nat Phillips maybe making the jump to Turf Moor. It's quite clear we're probably going to lose Tark, if not in January, certainly at the end of the season. So I think Phillips will be a great replacement for him. But for me, I'd take Van Dijk and Konate. I think they're a great partnership.
Konate, I think, needs more minutes. I think that he'll start in the Champions League tomorrow night, because I think that just makes sense. I mean, the game is relevant because Liverpool are top of the group. Liverpool want to win the group, obviously, with a maximum score. Never done it before. Liverpool have never, ever done it before. That will be a signal of intent. Konate needs the minutes, and I dare say he'll be one of the people who starts. It will still be a strong lineup. He's taken a strong team with him. but I reckon he'll be alongside Matip. I reckon he'll rest Van Dijk tomorrow night because it makes sense.
Yeah.
Why risk all the big names? They ain't got
exactly. To. Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is that even look at the bench, still pretty strong nowadays. Liverpool's bench, which compared to Man City's bench the weekend, was not quite so much. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne is coming back from injury and COVID, and you've got, and some bizarre reason they're playing their only out-and-out striker as a winger, which I still don't get. But it's working for them.
Yeah, it seems to be. This is essentially the second year in a row that City have been playing strikerless, especially after all that talk of Kane making the jump. Perhaps we'll see that happen anyway. Although with Kane's form this year, I think his market value has significantly dropped.
Yeah.
We'll see what the future holds.
Indeed, Ray chipping in though, saying I think we need that beating because they'll literally nowhere to go but up. Indeed, losing to your arch rivals is probably the worst thing that can happen as a football fan, because the bragging rights mean more than we finish the league. Yeah. I remember Man United won the league one year, pick one, and Liverpool beat them home and away. They won the title, but it hurt them because they didn't win the derbies. And it's the same no matter what league you're in. Winning the league is fine, but you need to beat your rivals to have those bragging rights.
Yep, I agree.
Let's move on to the Thursday games. I've gone crazy with typing them out. Tottenham and Brentford.
Tottenham. I've never heard of them before. Maybe that's the way Antonio Conte says the team.
To be fair, he seems to be doing something right with them.
Yes, still unbeaten. And as out of form Kane is, Son is clearly in form. And this was it wasn't a classic Tottenham performance, but it was certainly enough to get the job done. I think Højbjerg is really growing into that kind of pivot role of controlling the game in the middle of the box. And then Lucas Moura's had a brilliant couple of games over the last week or so. Son, obviously, stepping up and getting the second goal from a brilliantly flowing counter-attack. Regulion with the ball across the box to pick him out for that goal. But yeah, this is a resurgence of Tottenham, a team that we kind of wrote off. And as it stands now, they're in fifth place. They've jumped above Man United. They've jumped above Arsenal. This is Tottenham with a little bit of steel, I suppose. And
we did have a good reason, Mag, to be fair, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They had 8 people who turned the job down at the beginning of the season.
One of them being Conte.
Exactly. Started pretty woefully to the point where they had to let Santo go. But I think this is 2 teams in total transition. Brentford started the season so well and now have kind of been found out and started to tumble down the league. Tottenham started the season so poorly and are now regaining that form that made them potential title contenders. And now climbing back up into the European spots.
Indeed, and not only that, but they're also, the first game of the season without Kane, they actually looked really, really sharp and really dangerous. And hopefully Conte can actually get something out of Kane, because he's still playing, for me, like someone who was going through the motions.
Yeah, he was by far still the worst player on the pitch. For Tottenham, and that's a team that contains Eric Dyer, who I have absolutely no love for whatsoever. This is a guy who doesn't want to play for the club. So yeah, it's a shame because he's such a great goal scorer, and this has been by far the worst season that he's ever had. because he clearly is not happy at Tottenham anymore.
Brentford haven't looked this out of sorts, should we say, since they come up. This was a very limp performance from Brentford. Even Tony had a couple of chances, and they were very weak efforts. They looked exhausted.
Yeah, and we kind of like thought that maybe they'd regain the form with the recent win over Everton, but that seems to have just been like kind of almost a flash in the pan, I suppose, and they're now going back to the form that they had before that. Losses and draws kind of being traded. This has got to be worrying because of how well they started the first 8 or so games.
Do you think that they could have got more goals here?
Do I think Tottenham could have got more goals?
Yeah. They had a good game, I think, despite the fact they continued to.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of possession, they were just beat by Brentford, but they had 11 shots with 6 on target. So to only get 2 goals out of that shows that the keepers and the defenders have been doing their job. But with an informed Kane, with a Son being more clinical in front of goal, yeah, they could have easily got more, but 2-0, I think Conte will be more than pleased with that.
Indeed. Brentford still 12th though, so
that shows how good their first half of the season was. Indeed,
and they've still got time to recover from this. Of course. Speaking of recovery, this is actually a perfect segue, Max, for a change, because perfect recoveries. Let's talk goalkeepers. Okay. Now, Manchester United 3, Arsenal 2. This was a game literally of 2 halves. Arsenal took the lead through controversial circumstances. That's not a bit of an bush, but as I said on the on Tekkers this past weekend, the law says that the ball should go dead if the goalkeeper is injured. However, referee's discretion if he is injured or not. Same time, he went to VAR and checked it, and I'm like, personally, according to the perfect rules of the game, this goal should not have stood. But at the same time, the referee didn't interpret him as being injured badly enough to warrant the game being stopped. Goal must stand. The rule contradicts itself. So I'm not entirely sure which way to go. So in that case, then, I think you've got to give the goal, I suppose.
The whistle went after the whistle stopped the play. Went after the shot from Smith Rowe happened. Fred, the teammate of De Gea, is actually the person who caused the injury to De Gea. So it wasn't an Arsenal foul. So they can't stop the game for that. And I get that the goalkeeper gets kind of extra protection in the rules, but I think it would have been unjust for Arsenal to not get this goal because of that kind of like contradiction of the rules, I suppose. But it all meant for nothing anyway, because Man United went on to win the game 3-2. With another VAR decision again involving Fred, which led to a penalty, which Ronaldo kept his nerve to score to get the winner. But yeah, this was an entertaining game. Goals at both ends. Fred really kind of like coming into his own after struggling, and what a way for Michael Carrick to bow out as well, with a win to kind of finish off his Man United career.
Absolutely. Odegaard for Arsenal here, he was a hero and a villain at the same time. So he scored a great equaliser.
He did.
And then went to ground when he really didn't need to. I was in the pub watching this, It was actually a great atmosphere to actually be in a pub with some Man United fans and some other fans, and not being a dog in the fight. It was so nice just watching game of football, and I have never seen a pub look literally half it scream for a penalty, half it scream because penalty was going to be given. As soon as they knew the VAR was because they knew that the individual was up. I said penalty as soon as I saw him go to ground. Didn't even. I was being waved off. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yep. Thankfully, VAR corrected it.
Absolutely. But yeah, in terms of a neutral game, this was so entertaining. 31 shots total, 18 shots on target, so plenty of end-to-end action. Arsenal retaining the majority of the ball with 56%, which is kind of like leads into that steal that we've talked so much about. But the result didn't go their way in this match, and it certainly didn't go their way in a match later on that we'll get to. So yeah, Arsenal not having the best of weeks.
Everyone can just have a week from hell, and hopefully for Arsenal that turns around. May not turn the corner, perhaps. They've now got Ralph. How do you pronounce it, Max? I keep saying Ragnarok.
Rangnick.
Okay. Ralph Rangnick.
Ragnarok's a totally different thing.
I know, but I think it sounds way better. It sounds way cooler. Sounds way cooler to me. Got a big task ahead of him, though, to be fair. Big task ahead of him still.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see where he goes as well, because if he is staying as an interim manager, where how it was portrayed in the media, I don't see the point in giving him kind of a unilateral pick over things like transfers, because if he's not going to be there to continue that journey, what is the point in giving him that kind of power? But you mentioned that there's also talk of him maybe staying on a more permanent basis, which would make a lot more sense. I mean, this is the guy who the majority of the big name managers in the Premier League have all kind of like sat under the learning tree of Ralph Rangnick. He's Klopp and Tuchel are both kind of like disciples of his. Guardiola spent a lot of time working kind of under seminars of Rangnick. A lot of our Premier League managers have gone over to the setup at Leipzig to study the way that Rangnick and his philosophies around football. So he's certainly
Liverpool bought many players through from Leipzig over the years.
Exactly. So it's a huge get for Man United, and one that even before he was in charge of a game, you could tell lifted the team. And this is the result that came from it.
Indeed. So that's the whole of last week's midweek game wrapped up. Let's get into the weekend's football. We're going for 48 minutes. Okay. So let's start with our watch-along game, Mag. We're going to be quite brief with this if we can, because we cover this live, obviously. West Ham 3, Chelsea 2. What a game.
Yeah. West Ham were glorious to watch. Another game where Chelsea were their own worst enemies. They lost this game because of the mistakes that they made, because of the mistakes that particularly Edouard Mendy, who I still think is probably one of the best keepers in the world. He had a woeful game. Essentially, it was his fault for the penalty for West Ham when he tried to kind of play the ball off Jared Bowen, thinking he was a centre back or even a central midfielder, and was caught in possession. And then he totally out of position for the Masuaku goal, which essentially caught him off guard. But even before that, I think that West Ham were worthy of winning this game. They seem to be more decisive when going forward. Bowen, I thought, had a particularly good game. West Ham were glorious in this game. I thought they did really, really well, and it kind of like pinned down the kind of atmosphere around the London Stadium when we saw Thomas Souček at the end of the game, essentially going over to a group of, I think they were Czech fans, and taking selfies with them and giving his shirt to a guy who travelled from the Czech Republic to come and see him. Yeah, I thought it's a feel good moment, and West Ham are one of those kind of feel good teams that you can be really kind of proud that they're part of the Premier League.
Yeah, I've mentioned before, I've stood on Bournemouth stand at Upton Park. Not been to London Stadium, unfortunately, but I've stood on Bournemouth and I've seen firsthand some of the love and support that they've given to the local people and people who come to support them from all areas of the globe. The fact that someone came from the Czech Republic just watched Thomas Souček, he gave him his shirt, and good to admit, set my heart aflutter when I saw the abs on him. His little thin ballad joke for you over there. But it's not that, but he's really he really did a great job in this game as well. He really did.
Mm-hmm.
Edouard Mendy has been supremely good all season long. Today, West Ham game, he had a nightmare.
He did, and the best of us have those kind of games, but
indeed,
his two biggest mistakes cost Chelsea the win.
Indeed. I also don't feel he'll have a game like this for the rest of the season, because every goalkeeper has a bad game, but they don't usually have. But the top keepers don't have too many in a season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree. I think he still will probably be one of the best keepers in the world, but he just had a nightmare of a game in this match.
Indeed. Hello, look at the cat dragged in. Sorry,
hello, sir.
Here. How are you, sir? You've just missed us. You enjoying how good Man United were last week, sir. Sorry about that.
I'm tempted to finish this off, sir. Tempted.
Oh, I don't mind a bit of White Lightning, mate. Don't mind a bit of White Lightning.
It's horrific.
It's a proper cherry drink, and to be fair, I'm from Essex. It's all good. West Ham really well. Chelsea will bounce back from this, but Chelsea, well, they had a day to forget, because then it didn't rain, it poured, as we'll find out with some of the games that came in later on the day. Mags, we'll quickly go to this game so we can move on from it. Should we just leave it there and move on?
No, I think there's certainly talking points. Yeah.
Okay,
so yeah, this was a must-win for Burnley. Like I said, we've had a massive issue in converting draws into wins. Massive issue in creating chances into goals, and this showed up in this game. Again, Callum Wilson was the star of the show. Well taken goal. I can't deny that. But this was Burnley being just pinned back time after time. Even a very rare game where we have the majority of the ball with 52%. But Newcastle had 19 shots. They had 4 on target. We had 10 shots and only got 1 on target. And that's the crux of the issue, that we're not creating enough clear-cut chances to worry opposition defenders. We were toothless. We were weak. We were we struggled. And Newcastle deserved the win.
Burnley had a rare moment with Nick Pope not making a big mistake, not doing Willock's cross the way that he normally would. Under pressure from Fabian Schär, of course, but normally he does that much better than he did in this game.
Yeah.
We talk about goalkeepers having bad days, so.
I mean, it was an error, and on another game, that may have been pulled up for a foul. I personally don't think it was a foul by Fabian Schär. He's well within his right, and that was a Nick Pope issue. He jumped forward and kind of climbed on Fabian Schär to reach for the ball. and wasn't able to keep hold of it, and it broke loose, and Wilson was able to score. Like I said, they deserve that.
Right time.
Yeah, exactly. They deserve the win. The issue is now that all three of us at the bottom of the league are all tied now on 10 points, and Newcastle have obviously got that Saudi money to claw away. I mean, we've still got the American money to hopefully help us climb out of it, but it's going to take a lot of hard work, and I don't know if Burnley have got that in them.
Have Norwich got enough money from Delia Smith to get them out of trouble this time?
Maybe not.
I don't think she can cook the books enough for that one. I don't think that was a terrible joke. I'm so sorry. Not a joke, of course, is Newcastle's run now, though. Newcastle's next run of fixtures are Leicester, Liverpool, Man City, and Man United.
I mean, that's a saving grace for Burnley because even though we have got some hard matches coming up, then they're certainly not on that level. They're certainly not as brutal as that level. So hopefully we can start to pull away. But it only takes Newcastle getting that one victory for them to catapult and kind of like boost the confidence of the players, and they may go on and pick up more points out of those games than we expect them to.
I still got confidence that Burnley will stay up, Max.
Well, we'll see. Like we said earlier in the show, it's a long, winding road yet, 24 games, but each game we go without getting a victory is one less game where we can pull ourselves out of the mire. So, hopefully so.
Hopefully so, indeed. Brighton and Southampton, teams who seem to like a draw.
Jesus Christ, another game, another Brighton draw. So Brighton and Southampton, Brighton are clear the draw specialists in this division. I think they've got 8 now. Southampton are just behind.
In 15 games. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, Brighton have only lost 3 games all season. That's solid. There's only really Chelsea and Liverpool Chelsea, Liverpool, and City who top that, and they're the top 3 in the division. So Brighton is on the sly a fortress, but it's converting those draws into wins, and they weren't able to do that. And yet again, they left it till the death to be able to get a point. And yet again, it's that man Maupay stepping up. They went behind to a good finish by Broja from a Redmond assist. But Brighton, again, played glorious-looking football. Really, really kind of pretty. Again, another game where they dominated in terms of possession. But in terms of shots and shots on target, it was split right down the middle. 14 shots each, 4 on target each. So a point on balance is a fair result. But Brighton will be in the same kind of like frustration that Burnley have of converting those draws into wins. It's just that they've got that leg up on us in terms of they've also got some wins on the board.
Indeed. Brighton, again, down to 10 men due to injury. Trossard this time. 98th minute equalised for Maupay. Jesus Christ. How do you get a 98th minute? Probably because of injury to Trossard.
Yeah, I think they were. I think he thought there were 10 minutes of injury time because of the Trossard stuff. He ended up being stretchered off. So yeah, it was a worry for Trossard. I hope he's okay, because I think this Brighton team, if they get 2 or 3 significant injuries, that'll be a massive struggle for him. So hopefully he'll be fit sooner rather than later. But yeah, another game, another draw.
One can hope for that sort of things. Yes, with this draw, of course, Brighton have now equalled their club record of 10 successive top-flight games without a win.
Oof.
The last time we did that was in 1982 to 1983, December to February. That's not a record they want to be repeating. Who have they got this coming weekend, Max?
Let's have a quick look. So Brighton have they don't have a game. Oh yeah, they play Tottenham next Sunday.
That's a tough game for both teams, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Brighton are going to want to play Spurs. Spurs are going to want to play Brighton, so it's perfect.
And it's at Brighton as well, so it's that's going to be a draw. That's a draw.
We've 98-minute equaliser for Hucklecoat FC. Lost County Cup final and won on penalties. Boom.
Not wrong with that.
Not wrong with that at all, sir. Right. Now, records were tumbling all season long, Mags. A new record was stopped in this game.
Go on.
Liverpool.
Another record of scoring more than one goal per match.
Liverpool's record was 18 games, which was already a record for Liverpool anyway. And they had the chance to go 19 in a row and didn't manage to pull it off, but they still got the job done. And to quote you, Mags, the man who's stealing a living again came off the bench and scored a big goal.
Yeah, I mean, he will always be a club legend for not for the amount of goals he scored, but for the significance of the goals that he scores. He
scored big goals.
Yeah. Essentially, this was Wolves with their backs to the wall for 94 minutes. And it looked like they would pull this off in terms of stats. 67% of the ball for Liverpool, 17 shots to 3, 5 shots on target to Wolves' 1. Yeah, this was squeaky bum defending for long periods of the game for Wolves, and it looked like they were going to pull it off.
How they started a great game.
And then Divock Origi happened.
Indeed.
Latches onto the pass from Mohamed Salah, smashes the ball beyond sign the Wolves goal. Yeah, and he's cemented his place as a Liverpool legend.
Indeed, Jurgen Klopp said that people will write books about him. He is a cult hero in Liverpool for sure. Let's not forget. I say forget about the Champions League semi-final moment. He scored in the final as well, and he scored a really important goal. Probably more difficult than either two he scored in the semi-final. To be fair, because he had to get through a crowd of players. I did feel. Yeah, Wolves got the 60 seconds from getting the job done.
Yeah, and I think they would have been the first team to stop Liverpool scoring all season.
Correct.
Which would have been a massive feather in their cap. But you play till the final whistle, and Liverpool did just that. And it's cruel. But if you look at the balance of play, Liverpool should have won this at a canter. So Wolves can certainly be. They're certainly positive about being able to keep Liverpool just to that one goal.
Indeed, Jota should have a couple. Salah was kept out. Holisar, Connor Cody. That entire defense. They put their body on the line. They put their heart and their souls on the line. Kind of cruel, but same time,
points is points, and that put Liverpool top of the league for at least for a little while.
Indeed, and then this happened. Watford 1, Man City 3. Watford will always be up against it,
and it's that guy again, Bernardo Silva, having another outstanding game. Sterling opened the scoring pretty easily, and this was again City, and it's almost like we keep repeating ourselves, but this is City winning without really having to go into top gear. They just dominate everything that they're doing in terms of football. They do just enough to get the victory, but in terms of Watford, they were peppered in this game, and how this only was 3-1 is absolutely beyond me. Bachmann was hammered in that Watford goal. So City had 26 shots total, 13 shots on target. 13. So that means Bachmann and his defence had 10 shots that they stopped from going in, which is absolutely unreal. Watford only had 23% of the ball, but yet still managed to get 11 shots off, which shows that they were counter-attacking with the very, very best of them. The issue is, though, that the Watford board are very trigger-happy when it comes to letting managers go.
They can't take this games like this and the game like Liverpool and Chelsea, for that matter, can't take those sort of games into consideration for that sort of thing.
So they sacked the last manager after they won the first win of the season, and they sacked him. So they can and they will. This is a poor run of form for Watford.
They shouldn't.
No, absolutely they shouldn't. But when you have one win out of the last 5, you can see that Watford board looking to let Ranieri go. It would be a mistake, but it's probably going to happen. I would be not surprised if he's not at least second favourite for the sack. He's third favourite.
Third favourite, yeah, behind Rafa and Ralph.
Okay, I mean that's fair.
Of course, because Watford did score, Edison has to still wait for his 100th Man City clean sheet.
Yeah, and he did his best to not let a goal in, but it was a well taken goal by Hernandez. But those kind of like accolades and plaudits aren't as important as getting the 3 points secured, and that's exactly what Man City did. Took them back to the top, and yeah, rounded off a pretty good week for the blue side of Manchester.
Indeed. It's a City went to the top, Liverpool went to second, and Chelsea dropped in 1 week. In one, let's say, in literally half an hour, they went from being top to being third because half an hour they conceded 2 goals.
Yeah.
No one blamed themselves. And at the end of the day, that could decide the season. It could. Things like that.
It makes it brilliant for neutral fans though, because you're looking at the 3 best teams in the league separated by 2 points. Nobody really, apart from the winning team, likes it when one team is romping home with it because it's not as entertaining. But as it stands now, we've got a massive 3-horse race for this title. Now it's going to get more and more exciting over the coming weeks.
And that's what I'll like if Liverpool end up on the top of the table at the end of the season with this sort of fight going on, because there'll be no excuses. So, talking about games which had everything, Mags, Leeds and Brentford. What a game again.
Yeah, and Brentford will be glad to have stopped the rot, I suppose, getting a point. Very much against the run of play, being pretty much dominated in terms of stats from Leeds, only having 37% of the ball, having 9 shots compared to Leeds' 13, having 3 on target compared to Leeds' 6. But yeah, Brentford essentially pulling a great point, and there were times when they thought that the win was on, and it was another very, very late goal from Bamford that got the equaliser. I think a draw was probably fair if you think about the chances that both teams have had. But yeah, Brentford must be kicking themselves that they couldn't hold off for that extra minute or so to pick up the win.
How long had he been out injured for, Bamford? Because I know that Ayling, who gave him the Assist have been out for 2 months.
Yeah, Bamford's been out since pretty much, I think, September. So it's been quite a long while. Yeah, and it's not like Leeds have only had him injured. There've been injuries to Harrison. Phillips has been injured. Liam Cooper, the captain, he ended up going off injured. Yeah, after a quarter of an hour. So yeah, they've really struggled with injuries.
And Calvin Phillips went off as well with Nigel.
Exactly. So it never rains, but it pours for Leeds, and they think they've got like they've got a little bit of good luck, and then all of a sudden they lose two of their biggest players. So yeah, it's not looking good, but it could have looked a lot worse if they didn't get that very late goal. So every cloud has a silver lining, I suppose. But it means they are still stuck in this kind of like mini battle towards the bottom of the league.
Indeed, Brentford bounced back quite well, I think, from their defeat at Tottenham with this result. They so close to getting all 3 points. They'll be reluctantly satisfied with a point. If you'd asked them at the start of the game, they might have took it.
Yeah, before the start of the game, I think they would have taken a point. That both Leeds and Brentford kind of in similar positions, only 1 point separating the two in the league. But if you look at that game, you would have been devastated if you were leading for so long, and then for it to just be snatched at the death. But 1 point on the board is better than 0 points on the board. So. Yeah, thank the Lord for small mercies.
Indeed. Small mercies over Old Trafford, Max, as well, where they recorded their first back-to-back victory since September.
Yes, and who knew that the star of the Man United setup in the Gegenpress era of Man United would be Fred? Who knew that?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, this was never a classic match. Van der Beek getting some game time as well. What the hell is happening here? I thought he had a really good performance. I don't think there was anybody particularly outstanding in the game. Man United dominated in terms of possession and shots, like you would expect them to at home to Palace. But they left it late to score. But if you're going to leave it late, that's how you score with a 20-yarder. Yeah, it was a great goal, and Rangnick doing something that Ole wasn't able to do all season, and that's like you said, get back to backs.
Indeed, but unfortunately, Palace have now lost 3 in a row and are now just 6 points above the drop, and they really need to put the brakes on this side before they end up getting into that relegation dogfight.
Another team like Brentford, who had such a good start to the season, that having this terrible run of form means that they're still floating quite above that relegation zone. But if this run continues for an extended period of time, they'll be dragged into that battle. And it's a hard whirlwind to pull yourself out of once you're in there.
It's the whirlpool sucks you down so quickly. The nervousness goes around the stadium, and no matter what anyone says, Jolie Lescott, if you went to relegated, the pressure is not off you now. It's done with sort of thing. No, fans don't want to hear that sort of thing. We've said that before. Like, I believe the Palace players will give it everything they've got until the very end, because they have to.
Yep, absolutely.
People have been saying about Bruno Fernandes doing the pressing in this expected guided press formation from Rangnick.
Rangnick.
I can't get it right. I'm so sorry. I think one of those things I just keep getting it wrong all the time. Rag and bone man. Ronaldo not going to do the pressing. He doesn't do pressing. We know that. Does this mean that we think Ralph will drop him?
Perhaps. And one thing that Rangnick has done pretty much over his career, he hasn't lived up to players' egos. That's not what he does. He has a system, and he expects the players to work within that system. And if you're not, he has absolutely no problem in cutting you. Saying that, you still need goal threat, and Ronaldo certainly can provide that. So maybe he will kind of mold Ronaldo into being the striker role, and have the rest of the team kind of picking up the slack in the lack of Ronaldo's pressing, I suppose.
Maybe. I can't see Ronaldo doing that. I mean, he has no interest.
If you look at the players in Man United's team, I think Rashford works better as someone in that gegenpress role. I think Cavani is somebody who
he does,
who Rangnick will really enjoy working with, because he does like to track back. He does like to come in deep to pick up the ball. So perhaps the reputation of Rangnick can get that out of Ronaldo. Who's to know? But we'll certainly see over the next few weeks or so. But
Indeed.
it's still back-to-back wins for Man United, a team that have been struggling, and now they're back in the top six. They're only a win away from top four. And this is a team that went on to finish second last season. So there's still hope there. Like we've said, there's plenty of legs left in this league yet.
Yeah, and another team which is back in the top six, Tottenham.
Yeah, and another team with back-to-back wins, 3 wins on the bounce for Tottenham, something that you would never have predicted 3 to 4 weeks ago. And another outstanding performance by Lucas Moura, another outstanding performance by Hugh Sung-min, and another piss-poor performance by Harry Kane.
10 points from his first 4 league games in charge. That's pretty impressive, though, for a team which was giving away goals like confetti at a wedding at one point.
Yeah, I mean, when Tottenham let go of Nuno, they were 8th, drifting in the table, looking like they were maybe going to be stuck in that mid-table position for the rest of the season. And now they're touching on those Champions League spots. They've already jumped above Arsenal, who had a really good resurgence in the last few weeks, but now this Tottenham side is looking like it's got a bit of a backbone now, which will be interesting. Conte is one of the best managers in the world, and he's seeming to getting the best out of at least 10 of the players on the pitch, with Kane being that kind of outlier.
We will find out if he can get more out of them for sure. Will Norwich be unduly concerned about this result? Will they write this one off before the game started?
Norwich were weak. There's no two ways to put it. I mean, they had the majority of the ball at Tottenham, which they should have capitalised on. But they didn't. They got outshot in terms of shots. Only got 1 on target, which is it's typical of a relegation ravaged side. And the issue is that they've only got one person who looks like he's going to be a goal threat, and that's Pukki. And even he was not good in this match. He looked out of sorts. So yeah, it's Tottenham are going to. I mean, Norwich are going to go into every single game looking like the underdog and looking like they're going to lose. And if you have that kind of mindset, you are going to lose. If you don't think that you're going to win, it's very likely that you are going to win. So I think there needs to be a change at Norwich in terms of showing some confidence, believing in yourself, because there's only seems to be a handful of the players that actually believe that they can get out of this trouble that they're in.
fingers crossed for Norwich fans they can. Personally, I hope they go down with their tails behind them, but that's my own personal preferences.
That's mean.
It may be, but it's a local thing. It's a local thing. Going towards the end of things now, the last game on Sunday, Aston Villa 2, Leicester City 1. Leicester, of course, took the lead in this game through Mr. Harvey Barnes, who's found a bit of form all of a sudden.
And they also started with Patson Daka as well, which I've been certainly crowing for, dropping Vardy to the bench, and they started brightly, and I suppose Gerrard was thinking, oh no, here we go again. But Ezri Konsa was the unlikely hero of the day, scoring 2 goals from his central defence position to claw back the victory for Aston Villa in this West Midlands derby, I suppose. But I think Konsa was he was kind of like the only kind of bright spark for this Villa team. He was in the middle of everything. I mean, causing trouble at the back, causing trouble up front. This was Gerrard kind of like bullying up his team to say, look, we were better than the result we got midweek, and we should be doing better. And they absolutely did. Absolutely deserved it.
He apparently, at half-time, had to tell the team a few home truths, by all accounts.
Okay.
Gerrard's not known to mince his words. He often speaks before he acts, as it were, or acts before he speaks sometimes, if you go to a nightclub anyway. He did get a lot out of this team, for sure. He's the same team Dean Smith had, but he's managed to turn them into hungry, fighting, and that's what you want. Hungry, fighting warriors. Thing is, he's going to need that because Villa's next game, of course, is away at Anfield.
It is, but when you go back off the results that Villa was able to get last season, I'm sure. And the fact that Gerrard is a Liverpool boy, there'll be certainly a lot of reasons for Villa to kind of play better than maybe they would normally. It'll be an interesting game. The informed team Liverpool against Steven Gerrard and his resurgent Aston Villa side. But yeah, it'll be an interesting game to watch.
This will be his first time back inside Anfield for many, many years. And
I wonder if he's ever been in the away dressing room.
That's a good question, Max. That's going to be worth watching some of the interviews before and after the game. Keep me on that, of course. The 3:00 game, of course. So we won't be covering that this week on Tekkers, unfortunately. But we will be wrapping it up on the Volley next week, of course. But that's the way they go from here.
Yeah, it's a struggle. Like I said, it seems that Brendan Rodgers' head has been turned. This is a Leicester team who were in the top 3 for the majority of last season. Started the season pretty brightly this season, but they're now tumbling down the division, and the form guard is all over the place. Draw, loss, win, draw, loss. There's just no consistency there whatsoever. The poor from Vardy shows that perhaps they are so reliant on him and his goal threat that there doesn't seem to be a plan B, even though they've gone out and spent 25 million on Daka. So yeah, there's certainly a lot of work there for Brendan Rodgers to be doing now that he's essentially out of the running for the Man United job. I think he needs to kind of like refocus on getting this Leicester team in the place where they should be as one of the new big 6, I suppose.
Well, it seems to rotate depending on which fan you are over a almost a 6-game period. Every 6 games seems to be a different top 6. if the day comes that Newcastle are tall at 6, then I'll probably be having a heart attack. But
well, we'll see.
If they've got that sort of money to spend, then they've got to be in a conversation down the line. Leicester should do better. Currently, you get a D+ from me.
Wow.
I'm betting so much more from Leicester this season.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think one of the people I've been most disappointed with is Kasper Schmeichel. He's looked a shadow of the keeper that he's been
ever since the Euros.
Yeah, in this game, particularly against Villa, he was complaining to the referee more than he was actually being a stand-up goalkeeper. The amount of times goals were ruled out because of kind of him. I don't want to say play acting, but certainly complaining to the referee, and he kind of got his just desserts when Konza got the winner, and it came in off his thigh. It went in the goal off his thigh. It was like you deserve that loss. So I think there is issues at Leicester that they need to address pretty quickly.
Yeah, or they'll end up in that relegation fight. And seeing as they won the league a few years ago, they did not want to end up in that fight. That's for damn sure. Even with Red Cash in the chat still, we're finally at the last game of the 20 games.
The team he has supported for 3 months has finally got a win on the board.
Indeed, their first win in 9 games, Max. Their first win in 9 games.
Yeah, this is a reprieve for Rafa, I think. And it's a win against a team who were flying over the last few weeks. Struggled this week in particular, but certainly flying over the last couple of months or so. And it could have been better than 2-1. Richarlison, he should have had a hat-trick, essentially. I mean, 2 goals ruled out. Yeah, they were both offside, but by the thinnest of margins in a non-VAR world, that's 3 goals he would have scored. We saw the deadlock finally get brought with Odegaard, and it looked like that Arsenal were going to snatch the points from the jaws of defeat after being really kind of pinned back by Everton, which is a shock, really, considering this Everton side have been so poor all season. Ben Godfrey can count himself lucky that he wasn't sent off because he essentially stamped. And I can't even remember which Arsenal player it was. I think it was Smith Rowe. I want to say it's Smith Rowe. So he was lucky to be on the pitch, but Richarlison wasn't going to be denied. And after some really good saves by Aaron Ramsdale, eventually the ball came to him, and he did a beautiful looping header that even Ramsdale wasn't able to get to. And you would think that's a point saved, job done. And then Demarai Gray, who scored earlier in the week, scored possibly the best goal of the week with a stunning 25-yarder, a beautiful goal. It's such a good goal. And it's Everton's first win under the new Ray Cash era. On this form, I can see him getting quite a few many more wins.
Indeed. Let's not forget that Mr. Moshiri, obviously the owner of Everton for the last 6 years, they've spent close to 500 million on players.
Mm-hmm.
And Demarai Gray was 1.7.
Yeah, I said at the beginning of the season that 1.7 might be one of the best spends in the league, because Demarai Gray is superb, and that is value for money. But yeah, 2 goals in 2 games, and that one being an absolute worldie. Yeah, he's already paid that 1.7 million back in spades, and just to to correct myself, it wasn't Smith Rowe that Ben Godfrey stamped on. It was Tomiyasu. But yeah, again, he was very, very lucky that he didn't get sent off for that. I think that even went to VAR.
Indeed. Ray saying Goodson was loud, the boys playing hard, Richarlison and Gray played like superstars. 3 months, aka 30 years, mate.
Yeah,
Ray, you're not even 30, mate.
He's older than 30. 33, I think. Going on to what he says there, though, about Richarlison and Gray playing like superstars. Yeah, and that's the thing. I have a very much a love-hate relationship with Richarlison. I think when he's on form, he's so hard to play against. He's one of the most dynamic footballers in the Premier League. But those games are too far and between for me. There's so many games that he spends being anonymous and being wasteful and being lackluster in front of goal. So for him to essentially have got a hat-trick but only come away with 1 goal, I think that's a little bit cruel. But as Ray said, the boys were playing hard. They knew they needed to bounce back after being capitulated by Liverpool in midweek. This was a good result for him. And it's a reprieve for Rafa. And Ray also mentions, what do you think about the supposed fan walkout on the 27th minute? Yeah, a few fans walked out. I think it would have been more had Everton not started as brightly as they did, especially with Richarlison putting the ball in the net after what I think it was 10 minutes. I think that kind of like swayed a lot of fans' head that maybe they turned a corner. But yeah, the fans, one win doesn't save a season. It's one swallow doesn't make a summer and all that lot. So Rafa's still got a lot of work to do in terms of turning these fans back on side. But this is as good of a start to that as you can get, I suppose.
Ray confirming he's 33. My apologies, sir. Exactly. You could tell from jump that the team was really into this game. I'm not entirely sure what you meant to say on that one. I think
like jump, like tip off, like the start of the game.
Right, okay, cool. Everton getting a very, very important result on the board. Outside of the scale, Arsenal lost 3 of the last 4 after an 8-game unbeaten run, which was going quite nicely for them. But you losing to Liverpool and then losing to Man United and then losing to Everton, not good.
No, but that good run of form that they had has kept them in touch. I mean, they're still only, even though, like I said, they've lost 2 on the bounce, they're still only 4 points behind West Ham, who were in 4th. So there's that kind of like middle of the pack underneath City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. You've got like West Ham, Tottenham, Man United, and Arsenal all kind of clamouring for points between each other. And something that you would never have expected to say 3 or 4 weeks ago, it's Tottenham and Man United who are the informed teams in that little group.
Which if I said that a few weeks ago, you'd have laughed at me. You'd have absolutely laughed at me. Yeah, but 27 minutes walkout was meant to be 27 minutes for 27 years about a trophy, apparently.
Okay.
I'll say that if some people who did walk out 27 minutes, yeah, that's 8 minutes after the fans started doing it last week against Liverpool. It's like walking on the 19th minute.
Yeah, but that's probably more because they were getting absolutely just capitulated.
Yeah. So they lasted 8 minutes longer than they did. It's one that did walk out anyway. But they walked out and missed a dramatic victory against Arsenal.
Yep, exactly.
The irony of that sort of thing. It's like the fans who left halfway through the first half of Newcastle for Arsenal and then couldn't get back in to watch the winner from Jack Tiote.
Ha 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 ha.
So yeah, Arsenal and Everton. Arsenal also what to do. Everton have it in the corner, Max? Is it just a one in the pair? We'll have to wait and find out this weekend.
Yeah, I wouldn't count anything off just this one victory. We'll see. Rafa certainly will have to string together quite a few wins on the in the next few games for this Everton fans to start liking him, I suppose. But yeah, 3 points against Arsenal is still a very, very good result.
Indeed. I think, Mags, it's time for us to wrap things up a little bit because time is getting on. At the same time, it's time we've had 20 games. So, who have been your player of the? I was going to say for the fortnight, but it's still player of the week, still, isn't it? So, who is your player of the week, sir?
Yeah, there's a couple of options. I think I'm going to plump for Callum Wilson. If it wasn't for his goals, Newcastle would have had 1 point instead of the 4 that they got, and they desperately needed those 4 points. If we're talking influences on games, it would have obviously have been Salah. But I think for importance, those 4 points mean the world to Newcastle right now. So yeah, I'm going to go with Callum Wilson.
Wilson was a great shout, Mag. To be fair, he had a very good week. My pick is a man who has scored the goal of weekend. I've gone for Demarai Gray. He's a very good week. He's had a very, very good season, to be fair, so far. I'm amazed that Everton were able to snap him up.
Absolutely.
And Leicester probably feel a little bit bad about letting him go when they did now.
I mean, they sold him to, was it Leverkusen for 1.7? And Leverkusen essentially got their money back. And yeah, Everton are reaping the dividends for it.
In spades. Not a bad shout either way. Not entirely sure who my alternate would have been, Mags, here, to be fair, but I'm very happy Demarai Gray gave me what I think pretty difficult week, to be fair. He had a very important week. But Demarai Gray, head and shoulders above everybody this weekend. He was the player of the weekend and the week.
Yeah, I mean, if I was to pick anyone else aside from Callum Wilson, I think I might have gone for Bernardo Silva. I think he had 2 really good games.
Just Lloyd Hannah.
Yeah, that's just a Brucey bonus, I suppose. But yeah, I think in terms of importance, Callum Wilson nailed it.
Indeed. So yeah, that's our players of the week. Let us know in the comments afterwards, because we're going offline in a few moments. But let us know in the comments below who you thought was the player of the week. Mags, where can people get in touch with you?
So you can get in touch with me down here at Podfather Mags, where you'll find links to all the content that I'm involved in. So come and give us a follow, get involved in the conversation, because it's always a good time when you follow Lord Mags.
Always a good time for Lord Mags. You can find me at MatTech UK. It's always worth seeing what I've got coming up, mainly because I've got so much stuff from Christmas Crackers coming out at the moment. Everyone features on media. So do go give them a like and a follow. And, we put a lot of work in throughout the year, and the Crackers are a nice way to highlight everyone's hard work. We've already got a one from Ray Cash. I'm by very hard and absolutely control so much of this match. My God, I thought I was a biased fan, Max. We'll put you in timeout for that one, Ray, I think. Okay. Don't forget to follow this show at The Volley Live, and of course to follow the channel at Radio Tekkers. Thank you, Meg, so much for staying up late with me, as always, every Monday night. Don't forget, we will probably be back this weekend. Well, I say we, Mags and someone, we're back this weekend. It's my weekend of work, so I'm not going to be around until next week for the volley. So I will catch...
In terms of games, I don't think there's any kind of like what stand out It seems to be like big team versus little teams. The kind of major games are all locked behind the Saturday blackout, with Liverpool v Villa being the standout one. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Keep it locked to Radio Tekkers on the Twitter channels. You'll know what's happening, and just subscribe and ring the bell. You'll know when we go live. Then you can come and join us then. Perfect.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, on behalf of myself and Mags, thank you for watching the Volley. It's been live, and we're out of here.
Bye-bye.